Now, one of the important underlying principles of Tai Chi is that of continuous movement. And the other underlying principles, as we found out last week, support that idea of keeping the movement going. Once we start our form, once we start moving, there's no pause. It's not a start and a stop. It flows like water. Last week we used the ward off sequence to talk about that continuous movement. And we're going to do that ward off again right now, reviewing what we talked about. Thinking about how our substantial and insubstantial changes help keep the motion going. If we do this ward off and our weight comes onto the left, and then as we roll back, our weight is shifted back onto the right. Then as we rotate and press, it comes forward onto the left. Then the beginning of our pushing chi, it's back on the right, and then pushing forward onto the left. And that motion, even though these are separate movements, that motion flows because of that substantial and insubstantial change. It's also flowing because of our principle of rotation and moving from the dantian. If you think about holding that ball and initiate this rotation from your dantian, and your arms can just float following that dantian, letting it float as you roll back, as you rotate and press, bringing that dantian back and pushing chi. So the principle of moving from the dantian and your rotation are also helping keep that movement going. Breathing also helps you keep the motion going. If you think about breathing in terms of making it long and slow, continuous and uniform, that's going to help keep that motion going as well. Breathing in as you gather, breathing out as you ward off, grasp the bird's tail. Breathing in as you roll back. Breathing out as you rotate and press. Breathing in, coming towards your body, and breathing out as you push away. There's another concept that supports the idea of this continuous motion, and that's the idea of roundedness in Tai Chi, the circular patterns. We don't have stiff joints in Tai Chi. We're never locked out. We're always rounded. If you see right here in my arms, it looks almost like I'm holding a ball. It's a circular pattern. Using our pushing chi, bringing that left foot forward, if we think about keeping our arms nice and loose, keeping this rounded pattern, even though it's a front to back kind of motion, it's not push chi like this. It's not a linear motion. It's a rounded motion. There's a ball right here, and we push up, and then we come back, and our limbs are never locked. Even my legs have a roundedness to them. You can see everything about me is open and loose. So that circular pattern, that roundedness is important. Part the wild horse's mane, if we think about that in terms of all of these principles, holding that ball and keeping yourself nice and round. See how my arms are both bent as I do this. Now thinking about that substantial and insubstantial change as I come forward into my next part the wild horse's mane. Moving from the dantian, using our rotation, coming into that part the wild horse's mane, and then thinking about breathing in, breathing out, 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 and breathing out. All of these things come together as we think about moving and not pausing. With some of the movements that are not quite so, might not think of circular patterns, like snake creeps. It absolutely has that circular, open, rounded kind of pattern. If you think about your snake creeps, this circle right here in front of you, as you come down, now there's a circle here as you turn and you move from your Dianne. You're holding that ball as you come into your pheasant stance. So even some of those movements that you might not think are so circular, we do have that kind of rounded circular pattern. So today what we're going to do is a 10-minute flow that will help you focus on these ideas, these underlying principles that help you keep the movement flowing like water. So just follow along with me and think about the principles as we do this flow. Take a nice deep breath in, breathe it out, good, and open. Now just breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Let yourself be open and rounded. Think about holding that ball and coming to part the wild horse's mane and then pushing chi. Now we're going to stay on this same side because I want you to be able to focus on the principles. Part the wild horse's mane, pushing chi. Think about breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Let's do it on the other side now, bringing your weight to the right, back to the left. Part the wild horse's mane. Pushing chi. Keeping your arms in a nice open, rounded position. Thinking about your substantial and insubstantial as you step out and then pull back into your pushing chi. Your motion never stops. It continues to flow like water. Part the wild horse's mane. Pushing chi. Bring that left foot up and just come into wave hands like clouds. Obviously, rotation is helping you keep that motion going with your wave hands like clouds. Now holding the ball to the right, you're going to step out with brush knee. Then using your substantial and insubstantial, just lean back onto that right. Pick the needle up from the C bottom. Come up block, bringing the weight forward for your fan through the back. Then bringing that weight back to the right, holding that ball, brush knee. Lean back, pick the needle up from the C bottom. Come up block, fan through the back. Focus on this substantial and insubstantial as you do this pattern. You're just using that weight shift to keep the motion going. Now bringing your weight over to the right, bring it back to the left. Let's do that on the other side. Brush knee. Bringing that weight back to the left. Now bring your left hand down, pick the needle up from the C bottom, block, bringing your weight to the right, fan through the back. Brush knee, bring that weight back to the left, Pick the needle up from the C bottom. Come up, block, fan through the back. Let's do that one more time. Brush knee. Pick the needle up from the C bottom. Come up, block, and fan through the back. Come back into your wave hands like clouds. And feel, even though you're not doing stepping, your substantial and insubstantial is still happening as you move your Dianne over your base of support, rotating through this movement. Now bringing your weight over to the right, holding that ball, ward off. Grasp the bird's tail. Roll back, stay with me here, form your bird's beak, step out into your snake creeps, and then hold the ball to the left. Step out, ward off, let your feet be fluid, grasp the bird's tail, roll back, forming a bird's beak, step out, snake creeps. Bringing your weight up onto that right, hold the ball. Ward off, grasp the bird's tail, roll back, forming a bird's beak, step out, snake creeps. Holding that ball to the left, step out, ward off, grasp the bird's tail, roll back, forming a bird's beak, and snake creeps. Step up into your wave hands like clouds. Remember to use all of those principles, thinking of your substantial and insubstantial. Thinking of your rotation. Let's go into repulse the monkey without stepping. And rotation is obviously helping you move through this form, even though you're not using your substantial and insubstantial. Come into preparation. Think about how the breathing helps you keep yourself open and loose, keeping that energy flowing, even though, again, you're not using weight change. Breathing in. But now I do want you to use that weight change. Bring your weight over to the right. Lift, kick, smash, and box the ears. Bringing the weight back to the right. Come back into preparation. Breathing in, breathing out. Now bring your weight over to the left. Lift, kick, smash, and box the ears. Use your arms in a rounded position, coming back into that preparation. Bringing your weight over to the right. Lift, kick, smash. Think of the circular pattern even in that kick, smash, and box the ears. Preparation. Now the weight comes to the left. Kick, smash, and box the ears. Stepping that right foot back, come back into your wave hands like clouds. Let your body relax. Think about your breath, breathing in, going one direction, breathing out, going the other direction. Remember, long, slow, uniform breathing is part of that water flowing. Now bringing your weight over to the right. Step out with brush knee again. Come into pushing chi. Then holding that ball back to the right. Keep that motion going and come into Fair Lady Works the shuttle. Bring the weight back to the right. Brush knee. Pushing chi. Holding that ball to the right. Fair Lady works the shuttle. Think about your breathing. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Let's do this side one more time. Notice the circular pattern in all of this. Brush knee, pushing chi. Fair Lady works the shuttle. Bringing your weight over to the right. Now bring it back to the left. Let's do that pattern on the other side. Brush knee. Pushing chi. Holding that ball to the left. Now let it roll into Fair Lady works the shuttle. Using that substantial and insubstantial change as you move from one movement to the other, feeling that weight shift and flow. Brush knee, pushing chi. Fair Lady works the shuttle. Now come back into your wave hands like clouds. And now bringing that left hand forward, come into your repulse the monkey. Making sure your knees are nice and soft. We never have locked joints. That motion is flowing. And now bringing those hands down, breathing in, turning up, and then breathing out. Breathing in, turning those palms up, breathing out, and one more. Breathing in and breathing out. So there's a nice flow for you to follow that you can really focus in on using the underlying principles to keep that motion going like a gentle flowing river. And that's really what that continuous movement is all about. It's like we talked about last week, it's that yin and yang symbol, that circular movement, the yin and yang flowing one into the other. That's what your form should feel like.